Awesome. All right. Welcome everybody to the March 5th, 2026 ESS Finance Subcommittee meeting. We will start with the February 5th summary of the subcommittee action minutes. Did everyone have a chance to review those? Any questions, corrections? Hearing none, I would take a motion for approval.
This is Mel. I can move to approve.
Thanks, Mel. Do I have a second?
This is Geraldine. I'll second.
Thanks, Geraldine. So moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Sorry, I'll give you time in the chat. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on with the accounts receivable update.
So it's a very small list, most related to county maintenance invoices that were issued in January. It's looking good. We will issue some reminders after July 1st because we know some counties want to pay in the next fiscal year. We'll also be reminding everyone of our new address when that takes place and issuing a new W-9 as needed to the county so they can get that to the correct office. And then we have the Fund 255 outstanding. So nothing out of the ordinary here.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay, we'll move on to the March summary of February ESS payments with Samantha.
Okay. Accounts payable for the month of February. We did receive the solutions maintenance bill for the calendar year 2026. So you'll see that there for $126,125.80.
Samantha, may I interrupt you just for a moment? I would really think it would be beneficial if you could expand the size of that page just a little bit to make it easier to read.
Is that better?
I would go one more.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Might have to scroll over now to see the right column, but yeah.
For some reason, my highlights disappeared when I did that, but
it's okay.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. So the solutions bill did come in during the month. I believe we only have 2 service providers left for calendar year 2026 whose invoices have not arrived. The next several bills you'll see with 107, 140, 250, 124, $61, 250, 123, 281, $123, another $123, and 116. These are all related to the executive director interviews for that subcommittee, the mileage for the in-house ESS meeting, and then also Stacy and Jamie did come to look at a few of the sites that we were looking at to possibly move April 1st. And then the last highlighted item for $2,000 is a check that we wrote to Jeff Baker. We found some conference room tables and chairs for the new office on Marketplace. So we are planning on purchasing those. We are going to pick them up either next week or the week after. It kind of worked out pretty well. They were still waiting for their new conference room tables and chairs and said that they would hold them for us.
Great.
For the credit card statement for February, the $222.87 is the last Indeed bill for the executive director posting. And this will be coming out of the reserve. When I pay the credit card statement, I will do those journal entries to move those items to the reserve from the credit card account. The $308 as well as the 110 are both set to go charges for the annual multi-domain $65.13 was to purchase drinks and mints for the in-house ESS coordinating meeting during the month. The $6.49 was to purchase donuts for the attendees for the executive director interviews. The $245.25 was lunch for the committee who came into the office for the executive director interviews. And then the negative $3.78 was a tax refund from Right Networks. $270.15 was lunch from Palmer's for the in-house ESS coordinating meeting, and then you'll see the $17 refund down below. $3,540 was for the annual JetBrains annual prescription. This was a little bit over what we originally budgeted for. Bringing on Connor to the team, we needed some extra licenses. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the payment reports for February.
Any questions for Samantha? Once again, thanks for going through it and explaining.
And then I don't know if you guys are interested. Do you want me to provide in the next meeting a complete vendor list, kind of like what we did last year? Okay.
I would appreciate that. Just so if there's people new to the committee or just a good reminder, because there is a lot of vendors that we talk about and we say, and then we think, oh yeah, I think I know what that is. So if you don't mind doing that, I'd also ask Samantha if it's hard to do, or if just like the total that was spent for the Indeed, for the executive director search, once you just get everything finalized, how much was spent, just so we're transparent as far as how much was spent for that search, and with the committee. I would appreciate just kind of a quick, I don't know if it's a report or just an email to the committee as far as how much was spent. I kind of just like to know where we're at. So if we get asked,
Yes, absolutely.
that would be awesome. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Samantha regarding the March summary of the February ESS payments? If not, hearing none, and Mel said, great idea, thank you. Well, thanks, Mel. If not, I would take a motion for approval for the February ESS payments.
This is Mel. I can move to approve that.
Thanks, Mel. Do I have a second?
This is Susan. I can second that.
Thanks, Susan. Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to the March Fund 255 reimbursement invoice.
The March Fund 255 reimbursement invoice came in at $43,301.89. This is to cover or help us cover February's payroll. The two invoices for February's payroll are attached. Just a reminder, this money comes from the $1 fee for every recorded document in the state of Iowa. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions regarding the Fund 255 reimbursement invoice? Hearing none, I will make a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
This
I
is
can
Carolyn, second.
Oh, it's a tie. Amy's in the
Geraldine.
chat. We're going to let Amy take that one.
Amy. Go Amy.
Yeah, go Amy. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll go on to the January 2026 financial reports.
The Bankers Trust settlement account opened with a balance of $0 and ended with a balance of $0. And the account was successfully reconciled. January, the money market sweep account opened with a beginning balance of $1,325,737.12 and ended with a balance of $1,444,344.97. Interest did drop a little bit to 2.53% compared to the 3% that we were seeing at the very end of the year. It kind of went up and down a little bit with the interest rate cuts, but we're still earning interest of almost $3,000. And the reconciliation for the money market sweep account. And the drawdown account with a cleared balance of $86,099.40. Budgeted profit and loss for January 2026. Budgeted income came in at $307,601.04. Against budgeted expenses of $275,191.09 for a budgeted net income for the month of $32,409.95. The full profit and loss for January, again, those budgeted income of $307,601.04 with revolving income of $3,097,874.21 for a gross profit of $3,405,475.25. Again, budgeted expenses at $275,191.09. Planned reserve expenses were $10,717.49. This includes the back file redaction charges and then also the recruitment expenses for the executive director position. And then this will actually increase because we did have that last bill come in February, but I'll get those totals to you.
Awesome.
Office fixtures and equipment for the new office, and then the software development. Depreciation for the month, $18,337.02 with total revolving expenses of $3,103,353.91 for total expenses for the month of January at $3,407,599.51 for a total net income of negative $2,124.26. The depreciation this year will be down approximately, I think, $4,000 or $5,000. We did have some assets become fully depreciated during 2025. January 2006 compared to January 2025. Money market interest income is up $1,600. Bad payment fees are also up $70, just a couple extra returns or chargebacks during the month. POS service fees were down 27%. In 2025, we had the boat renewals, and I think this is really the first time in over a year that we've seen POS sales drop below the previous year for comparison. On-demand service fees, Lynn County is not participating anymore. That would be the difference here of $2,227.72. And then e-submission service fees were up 6% compared to 2025. MOU service, which we are not billing for anymore in 2026. And the Fund 255 reimbursement up $6,000 compared to the prior year. Local service provider maintenance income. This last year and in previous years was normally billed in June, but since switching to a calendar year, we will start billing these in January. Gross profit, January 2026 compared to 2025 was up 106%, but this is mostly due to billing local maintenance fees during the month. Accounting software and services, this would be for our ESS accounting software from Intuit. It did increase 7% for the year. Payment expenses are up about 15%. However, these are actually fees from December that hit in January. Memberships, the $200 is for the Iowa Mortgage Association. Normally we pay this in the month of, I believe, March, and we just paid it early this year to renew. Software and hosted services. Last year we put the Dropbox annual subscription in this account, and you'll see that we just made a new account for Dropbox down below for $199. The policy coordinator, this is a vacant position at ESS. JetBrains for the month, Connor started the very last week of January. So this was a prorated charge to get him going in the JetBrains system for his coding. The senior developer has increased 49%. Just as a reminder, Mancy was part-time during the first couple months of 2025, but then transitioned to full-time. The technical support and development, Myrna in 2025 was in this position, but transitioned to the technical lead after Kelly's departure. Connor did start that last week of January, but that last week of January wasn't billed until February. Technical consulting is the invoice for Kelly Wallace. Developer equipment was to get everything that Connor would need, computer monitors, mouse, keyboard, some additional cords for those Apple computers and monitors. And then the local maintenance expense for January, I believe this is Tyler and DevNet's expense. Budgeted expenses were up 132.9%. This is mostly due to those local maintenance invoices coming in January instead of June or July. And net income for the month was up 6.2%. The balance sheet for January, in the BT settlement account, $514,272.82. Just a reminder, there's actually no money living in this account. This is the amount of unreconciled transactions in the accounting software. In the BT money market account with a total of $1,444,344.97. With total assets and liabilities equaling $2,943,334.08. Journal entries for the month of January. You'll see the Tyler backfile redaction expense moving from the settlement account into the redaction account. And then we did have a 1 cent rounding issue with the point of sale system that I adjusted here. The visionary prepayment, you'll see that journal entry for moving from the money market account into the reserve. And then the depreciation expense. All other journal entries are my daily entries, moving money in and out of the settlement and money market sweep account. The credit card statement for the month of January, the beginning balance of $7,505.76 with an ending balance of $11,951.06. And the account was successfully reconciled. Fund 255 for January, a beginning balance of $171,268.81 with an ending balance of $165,265.81 with total receipts of $43,301.89, which is consistent with the Fund 255 reimbursement invoice that you approved earlier in the meeting. And the reconciliation for the Fund 255 account. And the profit and loss for January with a net income of negative $6,003. And the balance sheet for the Fund 255 account with total assets and liabilities equaling $214,570.70. I'd be happy to answer any questions on January financials.
Samantha, this is Natalie. Can someone remind me how long we will be using Kelly's consulting services or how long we budgeted for that?
Phil, I believe it was to the end of March currently.
Yeah, I can answer that. Well, we started out with 3 months and then we extended to the end of March. Our burn rate has not really matched what we originally projected, and there is work that remains to be done. Not too long ago, a week or so ago, Myrna and Kelly and I met to talk about the status of the migration. There is still more work to be done, and we do still think it makes the most sense to have Kelly assist us with that. So I will be bringing a recommendation to the ESS committee at their meeting next week to extend that agreement for an additional 3 months. I guess the main thing I would say is not going as quickly as we had hoped. On the other hand, Kelly is only able to work on it as he can, given his other job and responsibilities, and we have made progress. So I guess my recommendation would be to keep going with that for an additional 3 months, and then at that point reevaluate it again with Myrna and see if we need to, what it's going to take to finish the job. As I think I reported in a previous meeting, and I can't remember if it was in this group or in the full ESS committee meeting. I think it was in the full meeting. We just might end up being in a hybrid situation for a while where there are certain components of our Linux operating system are operating under the SUSC framework, and then other things are operating under the Ubuntu framework. And that's kind of where we are at right now, and things are working. But particularly when we get into the reconfiguration of the database of all of our index information and images, that is where it is getting more complicated. So we think we can get everything except the database migrated by the time we get through this next 3-month period, and then we'll have to reevaluate where we're at. But we are definitely under budget. We're not busting the budget in any way, but it is taking longer than we originally projected.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Good question, Natalie. Anyone else have questions?
Amy, can you refresh me why Lynn County discontinued using the on-demand service? And will any other counties be doing that?
Well, obviously I'm not a spokesperson for Lynn County, but my description of what transpired is that they actually stopped using their internally developed registration renewal system and are now using a system provided by a vendor. So it's not just that they stopped using our on-demand payment service, it's that they literally did switch how they're delivering registration renewals. So I think that is the main answer there. And, you know, it was their application. I don't have any reason to question that. And I certainly don't think there was any ill intent. It just, you know, it just happened. So with regard to the on-demand system, there are two things that have happened. One is Lynn County did fulfill their commitment to share the code of their internally developed registration renewal system with us. We have not had any opportunity to work with that or do anything with it, but we actually do possess the source code. So we can do something with it if at some point if we want to. And then the other thing is the on-demand system is available to connect to any third-party type of system that a county might create. So the tool is there, it is functioning. We could use it again, but right now, because of their switch in services, you know, we've removed Lynn County's credentials to access the system. But if some other thing came along and another county wanted to do something, we would be able to do that. And the reason we would keep it alive is not so much to try and make that a business for our land records at ESS, but kind of the hope is that at some point a registration renewal type system could be created and we'd already have the on-demand payment mechanism built. So that's really where we're at. And it was uncomfortable a little bit for a while, but you know, choices get made and that we have to go on. That's where we're at.
Thank you for the explanation, Bill. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Great questions. Any more questions regarding the January 2026 financial reports? Well, hearing none, I would take a motion for approval.
This is Geraldine. I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Geraldine. Do I have a second?
This is Amy. I can second.
Thanks, Amy. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, let's move on to the ESS Financial and Strategic Review.
Okay, in the interest of brevity, I'll start with this. The financial procedures that were reviewed over the last several months dating back to the fall of 2025 and then reconsidered again at your last meeting were advanced to the ESS Coordinating Committee at their recent meeting, and they were adopted as presented, so there weren't any real edits or changes made. And as I mentioned, in a different time frame, the policy did not have any kind of stated effective date like July 1 or January 1. It pretty much as adopted became the policy immediately. And I am in the process of updating the entire policies and procedures manual to incorporate this. I'm not updating the whole manual. I'm just incorporating this, and we'll be publishing an updated version of the policies and procedures probably this month to incorporate this. So it's been adopted. It is policy now. It did change things. It changed a few things for the ESS coordinating committee for timing reasons. It did create a procedure to have an organizational meeting in January and to appoint subcommittee members at that time. But for the ESS committee, you know, the big things are, and I'll just summarize them very quickly. You know, for the first time, even though it's current practice, the policies actually explicitly state that that there's going to be a representative from each of the 6 Recorders Association districts. It also explicitly designates that the ESS Coordinating Committee Secretary Treasurer and the Recorders Association Treasurer are standing members of this committee, which, you know, essentially very close to current practices. It did establish term limits, and the term limits are that a member of the subcommittee can serve for 3 consecutive 2-year terms. That's the limit. Now, it does allow that if somebody drops off for 2 years, that maybe they should come back in the next year because it wouldn't be a consecutive term. But, you know, that's a discussion ahead of you. It codifies the current practice of designating a chair, and in fact adds a vice chair to that. So that's something that you don't need to do it at this meeting, but maybe at a future meeting you may want to consider who might volunteer to be a vice chair to stand in for the chair if they're unable to participate for some reason. Then and if you're following along, I'm in section 1.7 now, Samantha, if you want to scroll down to that. In addition to that, it explicitly allows the chair to make motions, which is something that is a current practice, nothing new there. And it clarifies that the chair can vote as well. As I mentioned in our earlier conversation before the meeting started, the quorum is a simple majority of the subcommittee members. So as we said, there are 6 representing each of the 6 districts. Then there is the 2 finance officers. So that makes 8 people altogether. So just to restate that, and I'll do it correctly this time, a simple majority would be 5. Okay, that's how many you would have. If you didn't have 5 of the 8, you wouldn't be able to, you might be able to meet, but you wouldn't be able to take any action under this policy. And then the new policy, it doesn't necessarily change practice, but it codifies the practices that you have been following and setting the budget. That is to, you know, participate in this discussion of the economy and the strategic review. It is to, you know, look at the data and develop a recommendation that is then advanced to the ESS Coordinating Committee. So that general practice, as described in 1.7 subsection 4 that Samantha has displayed, is now been added to the policies and procedures so that there's transparency about what the process is. And then 2 changes were made, really just technical changes, to first clarify that expenditure from the software development and equipment maintenance reserve it does require approval by the ESS Coordinating Committee. And typically that would be brought to you first and then a recommendation advanced to the ESS Coordinating Committee. It does also clarify that expenditures from the reduction reserve and the unrestricted reserve can be spent by the administrative team, but we have an obligation to report any of those expenditures to you. And an example of that would be that the move expenses to the new site will cost some money, but it has not been budgeted for. And the discussion previously with the ESS coordinating committee is that those expenses would be paid from the unrestricted reserve. We originally estimated $10,000 for that. It looks like it's going to be a little bit more than that, but well within the means of the unrestricted reserve. So we will report that to you when it's done. And I would just say that is in process right now. As Samantha mentioned earlier in her financial report, some money has been spent for some tables and chairs for the conference room already. And there certainly is going to be more to come. And I can answer more questions about that when we talk about the office space in a little bit. So no action is required here. The policy has been adopted after your thorough review, and it was approved by the coordinating committee. And I hope that this answers most of the questions that people had about, the operating policies of the finance subcommittee. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Phil, I appreciate you going through it. And I also, when Jamie organized the committee, was it last fall, with the policy and procedure and 28E, just to go over that and review that. It was so helpful to have when part of the policy was changed or revised, that there was a date, as far as, so then you can kind of go back and think, well, what was happening during that time? It was very, very helpful. So I appreciate you continuing the revision dates at the end of the policy changes. So that's very, very helpful. So
you will see that when the new PMP document is published. That date will be there.
Awesome. Great. So thank you for doing that. Any other questions about the updated policy and procedures from the group? Okay. We'll check that one off, Phil. What do you want to talk about next?
Well, I just want to mention that we had another good month in February. The submission, it's the second highest amount of e-submission in February ever, compared to the high in 2021. As usual, February kind of is a dip at the beginning of the year in the winter months, and we do anticipate that activity will be increasing, but it actually is better than expected for February. So I would say we're still on a positive trend line, and we'll see how things are going in March. So far, it seems positive. That's really all I have to add on that.
Wait, it's Lisa. I want to jump in here. We've been on calls with different people recently. One of them was a service provider that does a lot of business in Illinois, and they were able to come back and tell us that indeed our e-submission percentage is higher than theirs. And so that made me happy because, it's fun to be bigger than Illinois on something. And we were about, Phil, 5% above them? Is that correct?
Say that again.
The percentage for Illinois as compared to Iowa, were we about 5% higher than they were?
Yeah, I would just say it's a good thing that we are in the same range. We're not running behind. I don't know how accurate the information was from that provider, but I do think it's a good sign that we're at or above where that report was, and obviously Illinois is a much bigger state than we are, at least because of Chicago. So I think we're in a good spot. The trend over the last several years has been, the proportion has been continuing to increase. And we're working to continue that pattern as we go forward. So it's good news, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go on to the engagement letter with Denman?
This is not an action item. I just am reporting to you that the ESS Coordinating Committee did approve the engagement letter, and we are awaiting information from Denman to determine a date when the actual audit will be scheduled. But that is moving forward.
Okay. All right. Questions about that from the group? We'll keep moving. We'll talk about WordPress update.
Kristen, if you're on, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey.
We have officially started our content audit and basically our function asset with Visionary. We will be meeting with them in 2 weeks to do a deep dive into that. And this next step is when we're going to be really looking at how are we going to reorganize how we talk about Iowa land records, what pages are going to look like, and start building a new wireframe. We already have in our proposal that we wanted to look at building a new menu, just so that when someone who isn't very familiar with Iowa land records, we want them to be able to explore that and get more answers as they first visit the website. And we also want to have our training available in a more specific place. What we're finding is that we have traces of training videos and maybe some outdated PDFs of guides, and they tend to be scattered all over our site. And we will also be implementing more metadata in the content that we're posting, which plays into the accessibility piece of this website refresh. Because, for example, if someone has a vision impairment, this metadata will basically describe what it is that the picture is. So, like our home page will likely continue to have a picture of a field or like some sort of landscape. And for example, it would explain this is a picture of a landscape, and then can direct them to resources or the recorder's directory, whatever they are there for. So we are still very much in the early stages of this, but we're really close to kicking off the fun part. And I'm also working on building some surveys so that we can collect some feedback from recorders, specifically about the hub, because when I first started 3 years ago, that was one of my first projects, was to update the Recorders Resource Hub. And since that time, um, I've been hearing from recorders individually, and then we've had a few other surveys where people have made additional comments that it's still kind of hard to find what they need in the moment on the hub. So I would look for that coming soon. Um, I'm gonna put together some sort of survey where you guys can give your feedback. So start thinking about what resources would be maybe top of mind. Sometimes we have the issue we have too many resources. So how do we get what's most relevant up front and center for when you need it, especially if you're in the middle of a million tasks. So that is coming soon. And hopefully some visuals to come with that in the next month or so.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. There may be some questions, but I would just kind of summarize and say that, the arrangements with Visionary have been implemented in terms of the execution of a work agreement, and work has begun with the audit. And I believe next week, Kristen and I are going to be meeting with the Visionary staff to kind of review the results of the audit and make some decisions about moving forward. And I would just maybe conclude on this part of it by saying that we're anxious to get our new executive director, Jamie Hoffman, involved in the mix. She does have a history with Visionary, just coincidentally. So she'll be officially starting full-time on the 24th of March. But I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to Jamie because she's on the meeting today. And Jamie, make yourself known, but I just would give the introduction that Jamie has been in the office 6 weeks, and we've been doing onboarding and lots of conversation, and it's been just extremely positive for me and the whole team to work with her, and very much looking forward to the next step. So, Jamie, do you have any comments you want to add? If you can.
Sure. So, yeah, I've spent this week in the office with Phil and Lisa and Samantha and Kristen and Corey, and it's just been such a great week. Just getting to know everybody. I'm learning a lot about how things work. And I'm, just setting up my computer, and I'm able to jump on calls just to get an idea of what is moving forward for projects. And I really enjoyed it. I really get along well with everybody. It's been an honor to be able to have the time to work with Bill during the transition. So, but anyway, I look forward to working with all of you. And I'm learning so much right now. And hopefully I'll have a lot more to contribute in the next meeting. But I really appreciate meeting everybody today.
Well, on behalf of the search committee, we are so excited. I am so excited, and it's been great that Phil's been so gracious to say, come on aboard, and let's sail this ship for a little while together. So yeah, just just reach out if you have any questions. I'm not that far away. Come on up and hang out for a little while in a recorder's office if you want to. But just welcome. We're really excited. Us as the search committee and just me as a Story County recorder, very, very excited to move us forward. So
thank you, Stacy.
We're bringing Jamie to ISAC next week, so you'll have an opportunity to meet here. And
awesome.
I don't know if she's planning to make any type of a presentation, but you'll certainly have an opportunity to meet her and get to know her.
Great. Well, thank you. Do you have any questions at all for the ESS Finance Subcommittee, Jamie?
Not yet. I'm sure I will. I'm sure I'll think about, a million questions after we get off the call throughout the day. But I will reach out, Stacy, if I have anything that pops up in my mind.
Great.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Great. You're getting a lot of welcomes in the chat. So yeah. So thank you. Okay. Anything more on that, Phil?
I do not. I would just echo the thoughts of the team that it's been a very great experience, and there's lots to do, and we're looking forward to keeping the train moving forward. So we really appreciate what Jamie is bringing to the table for the team.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready to move on. The next item on the agenda, and these are just updates, but they're substantive. The first update is the office relocation. So, in summary, a office search committee was formed. Lisa and Samantha and I sort of acted as a search team to go out and identify properties. We reached out to the broker community. We identified 40 properties that were advanced to us by the broker community. We also identified within that group some properties that they didn't advance to us, but we would go onto a system called LoopNet, and we identified some additional ones that we wanted to look at. We narrowed it down to 9. We did site visits at 9 of them. We narrowed that down to 3. And then we dragged Jamie Sturgill and Stacey Herridge to Des Moines to visit those properties, and with their consent, we have been engaged in negotiation with the landlord at a particular property, and I'm pleased to report to you that, subject to the approval of the ESS Coordinating Committee, Iowa Land Records and ESS will have a new home beginning in April. That will be located at 2910 Westtown Parkway in West Des Moines. That particular location is basically just east of Valley West Mall. And if you're familiar with that area, there's kind of a shopping center called Governor's Square that has a popular restaurant called the Waterfront. And it's located just north of that. It's going to be a nice facility. I have, I guess I'm going to say, from an administrative point of view, completed negotiations with the landlord on the specifics of the lease. It will be a 5-year lease, but with an option to exit the lease after 3 years. The lease amount, including utilities and services, is going to get it, make sure I'm giving the right number, about $3,500 a month. And that is less than what was budgeted for calendar year 2026. Because it is inclusive, there are other budget line items that will be less as well because of this. So I just want to say thank you to Stacey and Jamie, and then also the new Jamie and Samantha and Lisa, for working on this process. But we will be taking the final version of the lease to the ESS Coordinating Committee for approval at their meeting next week. And I know that Lisa, both Jamie, Stacey, Samantha, we would be happy to answer any questions that you have. But we're excited to report this to you, and we're ready to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amy said, thanks for all your work to find an office to meet your needs and under budget. And I'm sure that going forward, you guys will probably devise some kind of a strategy, this day we'll move, and, updating the address and all of that with communicating. I'm sure Kristen will be communicating a lot with, all of our vendors and customers. So a lot on the horizon, but yeah, I think it'll be a great space for everyone.
It has a big conference room area. It's not really a room, more of an area. So you could certainly use that if you needed to. I think we'll have that discussion with Jamie, but as a team, I don't see that would be a problem if you wanted to use it. It's a big space, so we're excited to be there. Lots of windows, first floor location. It's a safe part of Des Moines, and in the western suburbs, which is where all of us live, I guess.
And EMS.
The target date for moving in is April 1. There is going to be some painting and new carpet installation, so we need to have that happen first. But at this moment in time, April 1st looks like not April Fool's Day, but April 1st looks like a good target date. We have the flexibility to, do a transition, so I'm not really worried about any logistical issues with the move.
Great. Any other questions from the group about the move? Yeah, thanks, Geraldine.
I saw Geraldine's comment. Lots of decisions going on around here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the notification system.
Okay, last but not least, unless there are other questions, you may be aware that a request for quotes was issued in February, and the proposals were received on February 17th. Those proposals have been under review. A committee of recorders and staff was formed to review that proposal. 3 proposals were received, and 2 of them were advanced for further review. Interviews have been conducted with both of those organizations, and the committee is going to be meeting virtually tomorrow to review what they have learned and possibly to make a decision and recommendation. A recommendation, if determined, would be advanced to the ESS Coordinating Committee at their meeting on March 11th. And it's very possible that a vendor will be selected, and that decision would be followed by a short period of negotiation, and hopefully a work authorization and a work plan would be identified. If you haven't had an opportunity to review the RFQ, that pretty much lays out the description of what the notification system would be. You can download a copy of the ESS package, or if any of you want us to, we can just email it to you if you're not familiar with it. I do want to thank a couple of people in the group today, Amy Isaac in particular, and Stacy and Jamie. Also want to recognize Jesse from Grundy County, and I'm missing somebody. Hannah. Hannah, yes. Thank you. And of course, Lisa and Samantha have been involved in that discussion as well as Director Jamie. So we're looking forward to having a decision made and then making plans to move forward with that. I think it would be premature for me to get into too many details about the specific vendors, but in my opinion, we received proposals from 3 very qualified vendors, and 2 of them submitted proposals that were just a level above, and interviews have been held, and I think the committee has the information they need to make a decision. So we'll look forward to reporting more on that very soon. I defer to anybody that's been participating in the process to add any comments that you'd like to make.
Anyone have comments?
So this is Jamie. Jamie Startle. I'll just make a quick comment. This has been an experience for me. It's not something I've really done before. So it was kind of grueling, honestly, the process of trying to find someone to do this for us. But I just want to make a plug for if you have an opportunity to serve on a subcommittee that, makes substantial changes to our Iowa land record system, to do that. It's totally worth the experience. And, we all have something to learn every day. So just take an opportunity and step outside your comfort zone, because I was way outside of mine. So it's been interesting.
Great. I have a question really quick. Now remind me, Phil, the notification system will come out of the unrestricted reserve. Can you remind me how much we earmarked for that? For the notification?
I guess I can report to you that we really didn't budget, that we're planning to use reserve funds to cover this. When we looked at it earlier last year in 2025, we sought some estimates from some of our technology partners, and we were somewhere in that range of, $275,000 to $350,000. And the proposals that have come in have sort of been in the range of getting the project done in about a 6-month period. It could be sooner than that. I would just say, I previously reported to you and the ESS coordinating committee that we'd achieved sufficient net income in 2025 to be able to say, hey, we have enough resources to do this project now. And that's when I believe it was in the January ESS meeting that they said, okay, move forward. And we did as expeditiously as we can. So you should expect it to be, I'm just going to broadly say, under $350,000. And we'll have more to say on that next week.
Great, thank you. Any other questions about the notification system? Exciting. And I would encourage everybody to tune in to is it the 19th that the ESS coordinating committee meets? February 19th?
March 11th.
Oh, I was thinking there was one in February. Why was I thinking that?
This is March, Stacy.
I'm sorry.
Oh, oh my gosh. I am so sorry. It is March.
But if you wanted to listen to the discussion, February 19th is the day of the recording of the ESS meeting, and you could listen to that. I would always encourage that because, I'm so much fun to listen to. And then, but the next meeting is March 11th.
Oh my gosh. I think it's time for me to log off. I'm so sorry, guys. It is March, isn't it? Oh, okay.
Good.
Any other questions? I apologize. Geez.
Stacy, no apology necessary.
Wow. Okay, our next meeting is April 9th at 9 o'clock. Anything else for the good of the group? I just appreciate all of you and have a good rest of your week of March.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.